Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Our show today, it is actually a second instalment, is A Woman's Prerogative in partnership with E360 TV. Our topic tonight is a wonderful and interesting, diverse topic which all of us will experience at times in our lives. When life shifts, overcoming fear and disappointment. Hello, I'm a TV presenter on USA Global TV and Radio, and I'm also the resident therapist. A warm welcome to our loyal viewers and our friends at E360 TV, and our usual friends on our usual social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and X. I'm Caroline HEWARD. I'm absolutely thrilled and honoured to be representing Dr. Jacqueline. This is usually her show on an evening, and I do the early show. She's usually here at midnight British summertime, but we've brought it earlier because it makes it a little bit easier for me. So I'm thrilled and honoured to be representing Dr. Jacqueline as your host for USA Global TV and Radio's flagship show. And in the background, Dr. Jacqueline has produced this wonderful graphic. Today, I am celebrating 4 years of being with the channel. I'm absolutely blown away by the fact that I'm still here 4 years later. My first interview with Dr. Jacqueline was Wrapping with Dr. Jacqueline on the 7th of July 2021. And Dr. Jacqueline in the background is creating these whizzy effects. And thank you so much for celebrating with me, because it is a huge milestone for me, especially as I didn't think that I could do live television, and here I am 4 years later. I didn't think I had enough content, so here we are. I'm seeing and experiencing something very different. Dr. Jacqueline is the founder and chief listening officer and the executive producer of USA Global TV and Radio, and has been awarded the coveted YouTube Silver Creator Award for achieving over 100,000 YouTube subscribers. She's distributing via E360 TV, Sizzle TV, where we are on Roku, Apple, and around 50 plus channels. On YouTube channel 1, that has the coveted Creator Award, we have over 105,000 subscribers on our first YouTube channel. And our second YouTube channel, we have 35,000 subscribers. You can find us on 2 channels of LinkedIn, 6 channels of Facebook, 2 channels of Instagram, TikTok, X, Amazon Fire, and many, many more. It is exciting for me to be here twice today on my 4th anniversary 7/7. And I'm even more excited to be here with the wonderful Marissa Dupree. Marissa Dupree, I used to do shows with, but then it became too late for me and too early for her. So we landed up not seeing each other. So I am joined by Marissa Dupree. She is all the way from Australia, and she is here as the full-time panelist. She is a credentialed, a highly credentialed coach. I think if I remember rightly, it's ICC IPF, if I remember correct. Have I remembered that right or not?
Almost. ICF PCC.
That's not bad, is it? But having a go at remembering. So this is a highly credentialed coach, and she's also a TV presenter on the channel. And we've just been working out in the background that she's been here for around 5 years, maybe more. And she is also a talking heads expert. I am absolutely thrilled to be here, Mariska. Please do share a little bit about who you are and who you help and how you help them.
Thank you, Caroline. And as you mentioned, I am so happy to be seeing you. We haven't done this in a while, so I cannot wait to jump into our conversation. And before that, quickly about me. So as Caroline mentioned, I'm Mariska du Preez, and I am a leadership development partner. I partner in all sorts of different ways, one of them being coaching, helping the leaders that I work with to implement the things that they have learned throughout life and seeing what makes best sense for them within their own space. So that's typically what I do. And I do this with both leaders that's new to leadership. So if you are stepping into leadership from a specialization, or you are already in leadership and you're stepping up within your leadership space, might be that you move to a new organization and there's a new culture, new things that you need to integrate with, or it might even be that you are in the organization that you normally in, but you stepped into a different type of leadership role. So maybe leading teams of teams. We need a different skill set within those spaces, and that is where I would then come in. So with all of that, Caroline, as I said, I would love to jump into our topic today, especially with you, seeing as we haven't done this in ages.
Well, before I do that, I'll just share a little bit about me. I'm known as the Harley Street Stress Expert, and I help people bust their stress. How do I do that? I work with root cause therapy and chakra psychology, how the mind and body connects, and what happens to the person physically, emotionally, mentally, behaviorally when there's an imbalance. The imbalance is a symptom, and it's whatever they're complaining about. So if they're complaining about a relationship, if they're complaining about a situation at work or a friendship, or they're complaining about a physical, emotional ache and pain, that is how their stress is manifesting. And I work with the client to identify through working and finding the work through the blueprint of their life to break through the root cause so that the emotions of the initial trauma are released. I also do lunch and learn talks, which are over the online or face-to-face. I was going to say over the phone, online and face-to-face. And I also do live events as well. And what I do specifically really well is I'm an inspirational speaker, and I do that both online and in person at events. And so that's something that is where I started my treasured journey. So yes, let's get into the topic. Mariska, when life shifts, overcoming fear and disappointment. I'm going to start with a quote. Out of difficulties grow miracles. Jean de la Brie. And one by Zig Ziglar. Disappointment is a detour, not a dead end. And, you know, when I was looking for quotes and these came up, it really resonated with me because disappointment is something that I feel that happens for many people, that we plan something really big, we're all going for that target, and then when it comes to the point that something goes wrong, somebody hasn't delivered what they said they were going to deliver, or somebody misses the deadline or the date, or there's a misunderstanding, and it happens so often in all sorts of ways. And so what I want to look at is, has anything for you come up where life has shifted and you've gone into that place of disappointment that something didn't quite work out the way you thought it was going to happen?
Caroline, that's a good question. I haven't really thought about it, well, in this specific way in ages. The thing that's coming up for me at the moment is, well, initially, when I started off my career within the engineering space, I assumed, always a dangerous thing to be doing, assuming, that I will most probably stay within that space for, well, until the day that I retire. And that did not happen. So when I moved to New Zealand, there was a shift that happened within that space, because where I grew up within the engineering space, and the New Zealand space was quite different. And I needed to pivot and change. And I think to a degree, most probably, life noted that I needed to do something else, and then it just kicked me on the bum so I could move into the direction that I'm supposed to move into. So I think that maybe was a disappointment that I can think of at the moment, where I really do enjoy the engineering field. I do enjoy the space. I enjoy the people. I enjoy the things that we typically do within that space. And yet it wasn't where I was supposed to be. So it was disappointing to have to move out of it. It took me quite a while to actually work through that. And I am enjoying what I'm doing now. So it has its advantages once we have moved to the other side of it. And as I'm reflecting on this, I'm also wondering for you what might have come up within life in general, where you might have come across some of those disappointments or subtle or not so subtle shifts from life.
Thank you, Mariska. Always insightful. Your shares are always. And I can think of a number of things, personal as well as professional. One of the things that I'm going to share that was a personal disappointment is that I didn't get married till I was 36, and I sort of felt that I'd really made sure that I saved myself and I didn't rush into anything. And I had the big white wedding and the big celebration and releasing 12 doves and all sorts of, it was top hat and tails. And because I felt I'm going to do this and do this once and once only. And I had a disappointment when it didn't work and it landed up in divorce 5 years later. My disappointment was, well, I moved from my hometown where I was very known in the media, and I was part of the movers and shakers in terms of my work. And I was known as the spokesperson for an organization called JCI that was voluntary and unpaid. And I was very, very known, and I had everything. I lived at home, so it was very easy. And then when the marriage ended and I was left on my own, the disappointment of I failed, like what did I do wrong, was so heart-wrenching that I struggled to tell people publicly because I felt humiliated by it. And then getting over that and moving into a space of, I'd built my entire business. I'd set up a limited company. I had started a practice in Harley Street at that point in 2005. And when I look back, none of those things would have happened if I hadn't moved from my family home. And I also consider the fact that since I started doing this type of work in 2000, that I wouldn't have had the opportunities of doing the types of trainings and meeting the types of mentors that I have if I'd have stayed in my small country environment of my family home in Birmingham. So even though it was a huge disappointment that the marriage didn't work and the personal life didn't work, what it did was it opened up a whole new cornucopia of opportunities in London. So I went to London to get married, and I was living there longer single. than I was married. So that was a catalyst. Being married, getting married and moving to London was the catalyst to the changes. So I moved from disappointment and failure, because I did feel I'd failed, to an overriding achievement and opportunities that I never ever thought would have been imaginable if I hadn't have moved to London. So from that perspective, I'm glad that I did, even though it was disappointing that the initial reason for moving to London didn't quite work. Do you have any thoughts in terms of what I've shared there, Mariska? Because it wasn't what I expected, and I think that's the thing about when life shifts and sudden change happens, that it's not what we expect, and what do we do with it?
I think what's coming up for me as you went through that, one, thank you for sharing it, and two, life has a strange way of putting us on the right path, even though it might include some subtle and sometimes not so subtle detours in that space. So yes, it reminds me of things that happened even in my life, where I can say that if that didn't happen, if that specific unfortunate, not so great thing didn't happen, I would most probably still be doing the same old thing, because it's comfortable, right? And we literally do need, from time to time, a kick so that we can move into a different space. And sometimes it's a bit of a carrot, or a carrot that we might think is a carrot at that point in time, and the carrot might turn sour.
It's really interesting you say that, because sometimes we can be going along on a journey and everything's working really well, and then suddenly it stops working well, and it stops giving us the benefit that we had and the joy that we had. And I firmly believe that everything is for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. That's friendships, relationships, and situations and circumstances. And so that relationship was for a reason. I never ever would have moved to London if I didn't have that reason. I never would have left the family home. And I've been left now for 26 years. So it did move me into a space where I became my own person. I became more resilient in a different way, and I created homes from that. And in that space of movement, which was very uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to leave my family home. It was uncomfortable to be alone again. I actually extraordinarily moved from difficulty to a leap. It was a leap of faith, because I didn't think it would be survivable for me, and yet here I am, and now I'm mortgage free. So it's miraculous, really, because back then I never would have believed that was possible, and so letting go of the control was something that was really big for me, in terms of letting go of the control of knowing what I could do, and then embracing the unknown. So what are your thoughts in terms of how can we shift from resisting the change to working with it? Because I feel that I've shared something that was very personally challenging for me, and yet in the resistance of the fact that I felt that I'd failed, I pursued into a place of excelling into excellence and really thriving through the challenge. So what are your thoughts about resistance when we meet challenge and we resist it? What are your thoughts and feelings in terms of what you might have experienced yourself or others?
Caroline, well, first I want to comment on your thriving. You are in a place of thriving, which you never thought would be possible. And yet, look at what you did. So that, to me, is testament to the fact that if we continue on, there's always a way of getting to the other side, even though it might feel in the moment that this is the end of the world, it's the worst thing ever. It is not as bad as we think. And the other thing that you mentioned was control. And what I'm noticing as an observation for myself is the more I want to control things, the tighter I hold on to them, the less they do what I actually want them to do. And the looser I have my grip on them, so the more open I can make myself to possibilities, to options, to other things that might happen that I have not even imagined as yet, the easier it becomes to move through that path of resistance. And my scientific brain goes to water for some odd reason. So if you think about water in a big rock, right, there's always a way that water would find under, through, around, over said rock. It will find a way, even if it needs to, over time and years, crack its way straight through the rock by making small little micro cracks. It will find a way through it or to the other side of it. And we need to remember that we are the water, not the rock. And when we remember that, it makes it a lot easier to handle these seeming disappointments that might just be diverting us into a place where we can thrive a lot more, where we are in a space where our souls can have that experience that we came to this planet for to start off with, instead of trying to hold so very tightly to our idea of what life has to be like, should look like, according to, well, ideas that most probably we didn't have when we came in, because they were part of what society thinks, or our family, or our friends, or whatever it is that we've been influenced by versus our actual experience of it. So that's what's coming up for me as you are talking, and a good reminder of one of the things that I am practicing this year is actually leaving that grip open so that I can flow with whatever is happening.
I love your explanation, your metaphor about the rock and the water. And I was captivated by your description, because that's exactly how it feels. But you know what? We are now ready for our first commercial break. So please, if you're watching on the live or the replay, please come back and join us for more insights on when life shifts, overcoming fear and disappointment. Be back with you shortly, and over to a short commercial break.
In a world craving connection, one platform dared to dream bigger. USA Global TV and Radio, a beacon for global voices, authentic storytelling, and elevated listening. Led by visionary Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the journey from a spark to a global force is now captured in one inspiring book. Honored with YouTube's Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. Discover the evolution, the challenges, the triumphs, and the unstoppable spirit that created a global movement. Executive producer Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang. Creative director Paul Garcia. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Now an Amazon #1 new release in paperback and ebook. Broadcasting Brilliance, the evolution of USA Global TV and Radio, is inspiring readers around the world. Join the movement that's redefining global media one story at a time.
Hello and welcome back to A Woman's Prerogative in partnership with E360 TV. Warm welcome back to USA Global TV and Radio, where we've been having an interesting conversation with when life shifts, overcoming fear and disappointment. So let's get back into the topic with our wonderful full-time panelist, Marissa, all the way from Australia. Marissa, thank you for coming back and for your insightful and interesting conversation in terms of your metaphors, rock and water. If you missed that in part 1 of the show, just before the commercial break, go back on the replay and discover what Marissa shared with us about rock and water. Marissa, when we have challenge, one of the things that we've been looking at is how we adapt. And have you ever had the experience of when you've got a project in place, you know exactly what the timelines are and what you need to do, and then the client adjusts or moves the goalposts? And when he's moved the goalposts, then it's a kind of, well, you thought you were on track and then you're behind. And then it's a different experience. And it's almost like a fear of not being able to achieve because the goalpost has changed. What are your thoughts about when people keep shifting the goalposts? How does it make you feel? And what do you do? What are your thoughts about what's good to help the project move forward when we're really fearing the unknown?
Caroline, I'm giggling because the fact that has happened in so many different areas of life. I have lost count. So at work, of course, we always experience that in some shape or form. I know of numerous projects where we thought, yes, we've got this, it's on track. And, well, it might be the project itself that decided differently, or it might be a human that decided differently. And then we had to reevaluate how we go about it. And in life, I've moved a couple of times, and that takes a lot of planning. So if you think about moving house, normal, just moving your furniture from one room to another room, that's a lot of movement already. Now, imagine yourself moving from one country to another country. There's a lot of things happening within that space, a lot of moving parts, and yes, the project might have been very well laid out to start off with, and something will most probably go wrong at some point, and we need to adjust. So what I have found works really well for me is, one, to hold it lightly. As I mentioned before, that is really, really helpful. And the other thing that I've recently discovered, especially in moving, is being mindful within my space and really deciding what is the experience that I want to have from this specific thing that I'm going through. Because we are always at choice, and we always, well, not always. I know for me, I have a tendency to forget it. I forget that I'm at choice. I forget that I have a choice to feel the way I want to feel for this experience that I might be encountering. I might encounter something and it feels very upsetting, and I can choose to be upset, or I can choose that this is just one of the things that's going to happen, and I knew that there will most probably be things that will go wrong for whatever reason it might be, and I need to adjust. I may have a plan to adjust, or I might not have a plan to adjust. And I can also decide how I want to feel about that. And of course, if it is within the human space, we always have the option of talking to one another. It is a great way of actually working through some of these things that can be shifting, because it's really expectations that we have that we are holding on way too tightly. So that's from my experience of it. And Caroline, I would love to know what you have experienced in it, because I am sure you have had loads of examples of this in life.
Well, it's funny you should say that, but when you were mentioning house and moves, I've had a number of moves from one city to another. I'm in my third city now, and I've done 3 of those moves on my own, which have been super challenging. Goalpost dates have moved. I should have moved here in the end of April, and it landed up being the end of May 2 years ago, which was hugely challenging because I was holding other people in terms of their services for moving and for booking parking for my removal company. And it was like I was in limbo. And one of the things that I would share is I kept in constant communication. That was something that I felt was important, because I was going crazy with the shifting of goalposts and not really knowing, and thinking that I was just about to exchange and then complete. And then at the point that I think I'm going to exchange and it's just about to go ahead, something drops in the works and it's not going to happen. And that happened to me several times on the Friday before I'm thinking I'm going to be moving the following week on the Tuesday. So extremely discouraging. And there was a point where I felt like I was going to scream because it just wasn't working. And I wasn't in control. I was in control of the communication and how I responded to each person that was part of that process. And so, yes, moving was a huge challenge for me. And I've done it, as I said, 3 times on my own with no real help in terms of a partner. But what I did have when I moved 2 times in London, I had a merry band and a community that came in shifts to help me pack and move my things. And this last move, I just farmed it all out to a removal company who packed everything for me and loaded up the removal company van and then unloaded it at my new home. But I was reliant on other people, and being in a space of being kind, respectful, and honouring of them, and being in a high level of communication was one of the key things that helped me achieve what I needed to achieve. And it also helped them understand what was changing, when it was changing. And it really worked. And so I would say that, yes, goalposts can change, things can move in work, in your personal life, in family situations. And it's about being in communication and not being in a place of reaction, but being in a place of a high level of emotional intelligence so that you manage it for yourself as well as everyone else. What are your thoughts about what I've just shared, Mariska?
I definitely agree with the communication as well as that high level of emotional intelligence, because one of the things that we know from the research that they've done is that when we go into an emotional state that's not ideal for us, emotions are contagious. So guess what? We will send everybody else into that state too. And that's not helpful at all for us or for them. So understanding what state we are in and then being able to keep ourselves regulated in a state that we want to be in helps everyone else to do the same thing. And then we can actually communicate properly and sort the thing out and get plan B, C, D, E, F, whichever one it is that we need to get implemented, instead of running around like a headless chicken that does not know what's going on. And in all honesty, I do know and I understand that sometimes we get into that space where we can't get ourselves out of the headless chicken spot. I have found for myself that that happens from time to time, especially when we have a very high stress load. So if you already have a high stress load and then something else happens that stresses you even more, the likelihood of you becoming a headless chicken is increased. In those times, realizing the signs of headless chickenness, and then being able to separate ourselves from the situation enough so in order to find our head and then come back to the situation, which is sometimes easier said than done, because I know for me, the first time it happened, I was really surprised. And I didn't know what to do. I literally didn't know what to do. I felt like a headless chicken. I noticed that I'm a headless chicken and I didn't know what to do. So yes, it happens. And when it happens, notice it. That's the very first thing I think is really, really important, is noticing it. And then we can actually pause so we can decide what we want to do. And breathe. Breathing is always good. And then continuing from there. And if it means that we need space, then take the space that you need in order to acclimatize yourself and be a little bit more regulated. Continue to breathe, and then continue with whatever it is that you needed to be doing. So yes, Caroline, I absolutely am with you on the emotional intelligence and the communication. And that's part of the communication too, right? When we find that we are sort of like a headless chicken, let other people know, hey, I cannot make this decision right now. Can you please give me an hour? I need an hour just so that I can gather myself, and then I'll come back to you. And then do that, right? So having those communication channels open is really, really important, because then everybody else also knows what to expect, what they can or cannot expect from us at that point in time, because we can or cannot handle that thing at that point in time. And it's okay. We will get into a space where we can handle it again. We only need to give ourselves some time so that we can actually be able to get into a more generative state for ourselves too. So that's what's coming up for me, Caroline, as you mentioned that. And it reminds me of a few places where I didn't do that so well, and had to learn from my own mistakes.
Thank you very much, Mariska, for your complete transparency and insightful shares. And we are human, and I feel that it's important to remember it doesn't matter how much training, education that we have, that we are all here to experience and to grow from the experiences and turn the learning, the experiences, the lessons into wisdom. And so just because we're here sharing some amazing nuggets, it's because we've been there, we've gone through it, we've worn the t-shirt literally, and we're here to share the expertise from our wisdom of going through those experiences, because we weren't born with that high level of emotional intelligence. We gained and earned the right to share it because of the fact that we are here in this space. So we have come to the end of our show. It's gone so quickly, and I wanted to cover so much more, as I always do. You know, I trust that you've enjoyed the show. If you're here on the live or the replay, we have been exploring when life shifts, overcoming fear and disappointment. And we hope that you have gained some wisdom, some insights from our shares, and some insightful things that you might be able to continue and do and use within your life. But before we go, please, Mariska, share with our viewers how people can contact you and the best way to reach you.
So you can get hold of me via my email, which is Mariska, MARISKA, @journey2, discover.com. Or alternatively, you can also find me on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is nice and easy, Mariska du Preez, and you connect and we can start our conversation. So that's the way to get hold of me. And remember, if you are a leader stepping into leadership, or maybe you are stepping up within your leadership journey, and you want to bring more humanness into your space, do reach out so that we can start our conversation and see how that might look for you in your space.
Thank you, Mariska. And for me, you can reach me on nomorstress@live.co.uk, or call me if you're international, +44. If you're local, 07523 120 189. Please follow me on LinkedIn and Facebook, and also you can book sessions, whether they're one-to-one or group, if you message me on LinkedIn or Facebook, or on any of the social media platforms that you find the shows publicised. And just before we go, I wanted to leave you with a parting share. Even when the ground shakes, you can still rise stronger than before. It's been an absolute pleasure to share this exploration of when life shifts, overcoming fear and disappointment. Thank you so much, Mariska, for some incredible and insightful things that you shared with our audience tonight. And please do join us again next week at the more usual time of midnight, British summertime, which is 7 p.m. Eastern time, for this show, which is usually hosted by our wonderful and esteemed leader and owner of USA Global TV and Radio channel, Dr. Jacqueline. So please download our app, USA Global TV and Radio, and be part of the global family, bringing hope, education, inspiration through storytelling. You will find it available on Amazon Fire, Roku, Android, Apple TV, TikTok, X, and many more. And over to now our sponsors. A massive thank you to Dr. Jacqueline for all the whizzy effects and for the extraordinary promotion of my celebration of my 4th year here on the channel on 7/7. This is my anniversary, and I'm never going to forget it being my birthday anniversary of being with the channel. Thank you so much, Dr. Jacqueline, for the whizzy effects behind the scenes. And I look forward to seeing you next week at my usual time, which is 7 p.m. British summertime, 2 p.m. Eastern time. It's been wonderful to share the show with you, Mariska. I've had fun, and I always enjoy our shows together. Bye-bye for now, and over to our sponsors.
USA Global TV and Radio, home of the YouTube Silver Creator Award, proudly presents Just the Thing for Your Ring, introducing the patented Ring Thing. Your premium personal ring holder to keep your ring safe, nearby, and avoid loss.
The Ring Thing just got smarter. Add your logo and an NFC tag that opens to your website with one tap. Waterproof, inner padding, and now a forever business card.
Just the thing for your ring. Scan the QR code seen here to learn more about Ring Thing or place your order. Follow Ring Thing on Instagram at ring_thing_ or go to our website ringthing.com.
Conveniently located in the Cherry Hill Mall in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Avio Art specializes in custom art and photography printing. From museum-quality canvas prints and stretching to photo restoration, fine art reproduction, and framing with museum-grade glass, every service is completed in-house with exceptional attention to detail. Visit avioart.com or email support@avioart.com.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.